day 16, and I'm still cleaning from last night. And wasn't going to show you guys, but because of all the hard work I'm doing, I'm going to show you guys what in here looks like right now. Guys, look at this. All of this junk, but over here looks nice so far because I clean and reorganize these books. Now these are children books. There's like special edition, there's first edition of a lot of children books because this room was where my niece and nephew comes to hang out. So, and then all of this over here on this shelf, these are all movies except for the last one, and then these are all books. But I got a lot of cleaning to do, guys. So yeah, guys, I cleaned up a little because I was doing all that work from last night till this morning. Still cleaning up. That's just a messy project, and I'm glad I'm able to do it because I would be so upset if my mother was doing that kind of work. She's too old for that. It's a lot of work. It's an area that we don't use a lot, so it become like a storage situation, but it was really a hangout area for the kids, my niece and nephews. And since this year's situation, they haven't been coming around, but I'm glad I'm able to clean it up, and I actually like doing it, so I'm kind of glad that I picked it up on myself to do it. So now that we're, you know, talking about messy cleanup, let's talk about messy books that I've read this year that, surprise, surprise, I liked. It's one of those kind of books that I would never say go run out and buy it, but for me, it shocked me because I actually enjoyed it. The storylines were very messy, but the writing was interesting, and the story, the message that the author wanted to put in the story, I thought were great. Now, first author I want to talk about is an author that I have a love-hate relationship with because he fell off, I think, in the last couple of books. He used to be such a great urban writer, and then somehow he just kind of fell back into this writing mode that didn't quite fit. I feel like he's like an older author now that's still trying to write for the younger audience, when most of his audience we're seasoned now. You know, we in our 30s and 40s and 50s. That's his audience right now. But this particular book, I decided to give it a chance, and I was surprised that I liked it. It was very messy because it deals with two brothers. One that became an accidental escort, yeah. So there's some sex industry stuff going on in this, but it's done in a way where he had messages in it. It wasn't so much about the sex, it was more of why. In this case, you have this man who had survived cancer, did it on his own, didn't tell his family, and now he's back out there in the world where he just doesn't know himself. He's learning and trying to live a life that is meaningful, but he's got caught in the middle of helping his friend and then end up in this industry situation. But you could tell he wasn't in it for that. It was more of a pleasure of helping other people. There's times where he will meet clients and will talk to them and want to know what's going on, and in his quest of pleasing them, because oftentimes these are people who are in it just for the moment, just for the pleasure of not thinking about their issues. And so it was interesting in that aspect, and I really liked it. It's the talks with the other brother who's struggling with still having custody issues, and you learn to see why that happened. So the story behind it was just interesting, but it's messy because, you know, these are escort situations. There's people who are high profile people who characters in this who are caught up in this, and you think in real life that's probably really what's happening, but it's just interesting how he did it. I enjoyed it. It's not, again, there are some writing issues as far as some of the things that he tend to do in some of his recent books, he doing in this. But I think the storyline was strong enough that it didn't bother me. It actually like made me still want to turn the page and read it. So this is another messy, but I'm not sure if you want to read it, that kind of deal. Then the other one that was messy, but I like the feedback that I got from people who corrected me. And this is called Careful What You Click For. And this is a Mary B. Morrison. And the reason why this became something I thought about after is that I was naive, because I felt like, because this is a story that deals with older characters that's in their 30s all the way up to their 70s, and there is one particular character who is on the low. He's married, he has kids, and he's really gay. He's having a full-on relationship with this other man while his wife doesn't know and all that, and he's a famous athlete. So when I think of it, I thought, in this time we really still doing stuff like that. And someone really made a comment that says she actually named, I think it's a he or she, named 2 athletes that's publicly out that is gay. And I'm like, as far as a football or basketball player. And I was like, oh my God, that's so true, that yes, we're 2020 and there's still a lot of athletes who are not out because they probably won't get endorsement, they probably will lose opportunity, or probably won't even get in the stay in the league long. So when that was highlighted, I kind of get why this kind of story is entertaining, but also relevant, because it still exists. This is in Atlanta. This is where a lot of athletes live, in Atlanta. And you have this guy who's living a double life. Then you also have all these other characters who are also using sex as means of getting what they want. There's a particular older woman. She is very described as fabulous. She's in her 60s, and she is using men because of that whole idea of getting what she wants, but someone there, because she's for years have always been the side piece, the mistress. And so you can tell she wants somebody who's not going to leave her, or not look at her as a second best, and that kind of thing. So she's doing tricks and things to get her way, and in the end you kind of finally get her why she's doing all of this. There's several other characters. Again, I did a review on both these books, so you could definitely, I will link them down. But these were that kind of storyline that was heavy in terms of, it's messy. It is messy. It is very sexual. It is very, there's a lot of people who are just doing some really horrible things to other people. But there's like a message within a message, that kind of deal. And I was entertained. It was one of those where, boy, I should not like this book. Just like, I should not like this book. I'm not sure if I should have people read this book. That was the reaction I was having while reading this book. But then I always think that when I look at all the books I've read so far, I've completed 73 books this year, and even classics has messy. You have Madame Bovary. I'll put it up here also. In this, it's classic, but it's considered like the original Desperate Housewife. And you see this woman who's married and out here having all this affair and want this, that, the other, and you know how she's still trying to keep her name, keep her name in a good light in terms of everyone else, but she was scandalous. And you think of those books because how it was written is not as we call it urban, style, and how it's written in a way where people take it better. It's more considered tasteful versus like the more modern scandalous books where it's for some people are just gonna like, oh God, I cannot read that kind of deal. So that, that's to show you the difference. But I think sometimes I do like that I'm able to read different kind of storylines and not just the ones that everybody expects supposed to be the, such a literary book. I've read them all this year. You guys see the classic, you guys see the urban novels, you see the romance. I have a few thrillers and mystery in there, a few YA that I was able to read. I try to balance it out, but sometimes these stories that are somewhat out the box, that are not popular, people are not running to read these, can be very memorable. Like, you can think about them after the fact, and you see that you can have a message, a positive message, in a messy book. You know, even in the business of lovers, and the idea of getting out, the idea of you did this kind of lifestyle and you're going to get out. You are going to find something to do with your life that is positive, that is not going to require you to use your body. It shows that in that. So there's things you can get out of a messy book. It's not all bad, guys. But then you can get a good laugh, because I sure as hell was laughing at Madame Bovary. I laughed my butt off at her book. Was an entertaining classic, and you just have to get into it. I'm just a person where there's just so many things I can find very, very funny in some classics, and that book had me laughing, and it was messy. So yeah, I'm gonna leave this here, and yeah, I am looking forward to what else messiness, you know, I could pick up for next year. What? Good question. What is your favorite messy book? It's that guilty pleasure book that, you know, if someone knew you read it, they probably give you the side eye, but you enjoyed it. Put it down in a comment. I would love to know your most messy book that you've ever read. And yeah, so we are going to say bye now. I said we as if my mother's over here. But she cooking something. It smells good. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.